This week on the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast, John and I welcome Heather Fry from Truckers Against Trafficking. It is an episode that I really believe you need to listen to or watch because this is something we can all do something about. Heather is next.
Welcome to the Trucking Risk and Insurance Podcast.
Heather is here from T.A.T, and we want to
Tat. What
talk
is
about
tat? I've never heard of
that's
tat before.
that's a great question. Heather, what's that?
Yes, TAT, also known as Truckers Against Trafficking. But we have recently rebranded and we're going by TAT because we have expanded not just within the trucking community, but we're also in the bus and the energy
Oh,
industries as well. And we also train up law enforcement and work at the government level as well. So we're more than just Truckers Against Trafficking, but our roots are with the trucking community. My heart is with the trucking community. So yes, but we are TAT.
awesome. That's great to hear the expansion. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, because I never thought of it, but obviously buses and stuff, they
Yeah.
also go into a lot of the same areas that the trucks go to. And yeah, sorry, around here we have a few casinos, and of course, buses go to casinos.
Yep.
And I mean, I imagine that there is trafficking at casinos. I don't know,
Mhm.
but would that be a logical place for it to happen?
It actually is a logical place for it to happen. Anywhere you have a large gathering of people and men in particular, traffickers are going to exploit those places of
Wow.
business. And so you will see trafficking happening in casinos. TAT actually has a toolkit specifically for casino personnel. So
Wow.
we have thought about that, and we are, as we say, we're building up a mobile army of eyes and ears out on the road, and we're looking at all of the places that we can get more people trained to spot signs of human trafficking and know how to report it. So we're trying to cover all of the bases.
Cool.
That's awesome. Let that back a little bit, maybe. And can you tell us what is human trafficking?
Yeah, so the general definition is the exploitation of human beings through force, fraud, or coercion for the purposes of either commercial sex or forced labor. And it always involves a third party, somebody who is in control and making a profit off of another person.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, because, it's unfortunate because it's not, I think a lot of people kind of stereotyped it as, oh, it's just girls. It's just girls. But no, like if you're talking about labor, you could be getting into young kids, teens, homeless people, kids on the street, stuff like that.
Yeah, so Statistics Canada reported that 96% of the survivors that they identified were female, but it does actually happen with boys and men as well.
Wow.
But just to a larger extent, it happens to the female population.
Yeah.
And one really sad reality is that the Indigenous women and girls in Canada
Mhm.
are extremely vulnerable, and they make up 50% of the trafficked folks there. So, yeah,
And
Wow. Yeah.
they're nowhere near 50% of the population. So that
they're
is a
four.
huge,
Yeah, just 4%.
yeah.
Jesus.
That, and as you already alluded to, it's largely men who are the users of the traffic.
Yeah, yeah. Overwhelmingly, white men are the
Yeah.
ones who are,
Oh, really?
yeah, are traffickers can be anybody, but the ones who are purchasing commercial sex are
Yeah.
typically white men.
Wow.
See, that just speaks so wrong of us. But
Yeah.
it's
No doubt.
unfortunately, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's sad. It's sad. So where are some of these places? Like you touched on some of the people that you're doing training with, like truckers. obviously is a big area, so we assume truck stops probably, but you'd mentioned casinos. What other type of locations, would some of this be going on at?
Yeah, oftentimes, I would say the major places where truck drivers are going to see it, especially over the road drivers, they'll see it at truck stops, rest areas, hotels and motels. And in the context of maybe a local driver may see it at, bus terminals, bus stops, um, places of business, and even at uh, in residential areas.
Right.
We know that it's happening right inside of homes. In fact, we have a survivor who works with me at TAT. She's a training specialist and a survivor leader, and she was
Mm.
trafficked out of her own home from the ages of 6 to
Oh,
18, mother. And so there are signs that we like to educate people about in
yeah,
the context of, if you're an over the road driver, you could potentially see these signs here. If you're in the
sure.
context of a community, this is what it might look like. If you are a mover or an in home delivery employee, this is what you might want to look for. So, yeah, definitely happening, in those areas that I just mentioned. We talked about casinos, large sporting events, large conventions, boom towns in the energy
Mhm.
industry. Anywhere, like I
Oh,
said,
wow. Yeah.
big group of men gathered together, traffickers are gonna use that opportunity. They're gonna go
Right.
anywhere they think they can make some money.
Right.
On the trafficking side of things, we like to focus in on educating about the trafficker, rather than on a purchaser. So,
Sure.
the
Sure.
trafficker can be a man or a woman. It could be somebody who is upper middle class. It could be somebody that really looks like a good guy, a friendly person. And so it's real important that we let the young people, our children in our lives, know that a bad guy isn't always going to look like a bad guy,
Right.
because traffickers literally can be anyone.
Well, especially, I hate to say it, but especially like you said, that one example of her mother, was trafficking her out. Oh my God, talk about bad parenting.
Yeah. So another statistic, that came from Statistics Canada is that 91% of survivors knew their traffickers.
Oh, wow.
So, a lot of times, and what any it seems like almost every time I have a conversation with somebody about human trafficking, somebody will bring up the concept of kidnapping. And while kidnapping does constitute a small percentage of human trafficking cases, what's more typical is that somebody has been groomed by somebody that they know. And so because it doesn't look like, kidnapping and somebody being chained and shackled in a basement, um, we can oftentimes miss some of the signs to look for. And when I gave the definition, we talked about force, fraud, and coercion. Force, of course, you can think of force, what that might be, and fraud is any kind of false promise. But when we think about coercion, coercion is a psychological manipulation that is very powerful and controls these victims. It keeps them compliant. It number first of all, it lures them in. Second of all, it keeps them compliant. And third of all, it can even make them look like they are active participants in their own exploitation.
Wow. Oof.
Yeah. So, and coercion would be things, for example, threats to a person's
Yeah.
safety or to a loved one's safety. And it could even look like threats to your own reputation. So that would be something like, if you don't do what I tell you to do, I'm going to share this video of us having sex with your high school.
Wow.
Just going back to John's comment about the mother, what I expected you to say when you said that person was being trafficked, I can't even say it, right out of her home was the second husband. What do you call it? Stepfather is what
Mhm.
Mhm.
I
Mhm. Mhm.
expected you to say rather than
Mhm.
the person's mother. I just
Yeah.
That's atrocious. But what other examples do you have for us?
Examples of trafficking.
Yeah, something like, unfortunately, how does a woman get trapped into this? How does that all start?
So let's think about a situation. Let's use a hypothetical situation
Sure.
that happens all the time. Let's talk about a girl who is running away from her abusive family. Who's there to meet her? Well, a group of new friends who gives her a place to live, some food, love and acceptance, and a place in a family structure, a place
Mhm.
to belong. What can happen then is that dialogue can flip from you're part of the family to now you owe us and you're going to have to go out and pay for what we've done. And that victim can find herself indebted and having to deal with the reality of going out and earning money to
Yeah.
get herself out of debt. The issue is she never gets herself out of debt.
No,
It's
no.
a model that profits someone else and perpetually leaves her indebted. And when you add in force, fraud, and coercion and those threats to just do this one more time, and if you don't, I'm going to kill your child or
Right.
I'm going to kill you, that makes them, they're caught. They're stuck. They
Yeah.
can't get out. And like I said, they know how they have to behave, what they have to do to get the money and bring it back, and they know the consequences if they don't do exactly what they're told to do. So when you're looking at a person, it's difficult to tell the difference between somebody who may be out there of their own accord
Mhm.
or somebody who's being forced to do it. You just can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
And so those individuals are human beings and they are in need of at least a second look and maybe a phone call to authorities to say, hey, I think I might be seeing human trafficking. And one thing to note too, any minor that is involved in commercial sex, that deserves an automatic phone call because there is no such thing as a child prostitute.
No, no.
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow.
What are some of the services that T.A.T offers?
Yeah. So what we do first and foremost is provide training. All of our training materials are free. We have industry specific documentary style videos that we work with companies to integrate into their whatever kind of system they have for training up their employees. So whether it's through an internal learning management system, if it's in person at say a safety meeting, we work to find the best way to get that video into their hands so that they can show the video. We also offer a wallet card that shows the red flags of human trafficking and what to do if you think you might be seeing those red flags. So that's kind of the second piece. We want to get a wallet card into the hand of every truck driver that we can
Mhm.
in America. Another great tool that we have that we just rolled out this within the last year is our new T.A.T smartphone app. So we've always had an app, but
Okay.
we kicked it up a notch and we added some really great features to it. It's free for iOS and Android, and it has all of the tools, all of our training materials. It has the red flags to look for. It has how to report a crime, and you can customize the content based on the industry that you're in. And this is the coolest feature of all, I think. It has geolocation functionality. So
Oh,
I know
cool.
a lot of the drivers in Canada are cross-border
Mhm.
driver. So if they go into the app to make a call, it will automatically direct them to the correct human trafficking hotline to call.
Oh,
So
wow.
really
Cool.
great tool. And, don't we all have our phones within arm's reach at all
Yep.
times? Yeah.
So,
So it's an easy way, right now, if you're listening, get out your phone, go to your app
Mm,
store, type in Truckers Against Trafficking, and you'll find our app.
so it is Truckers Against Trafficking as it's
cool.
listed in the App Store.
It might be both at this point. I think we've covered, since we have just recently changed. I think if you typed in TAT, you would find it as well.
Okay,
So
and that's T.A.T. just for everybody
yeah,
listening.
yeah,
Truckers Against Trafficking,
Mhm.
T.A.T. So do
right.
that. Go to the App Store and download the app because you would never know when you might need that phone number
Mhm. Mhm.
because all of a sudden you could just stumble on something that it would be terrible to wish that you had the number with
Mhm. Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
Opposed to,
I was gonna say with regards to the training, I've heard of a number of motor carriers that I've come across in my process of meeting with these folks, and a number of them have talked about conducting the training with their drivers, the TAT training, and they've said it's great information, and drivers are like gotten their eyes opened, like, "Holy wow, I didn't even know this was going on, let alone if I did, what to look for." So this has been a big
Right.
help to them.
Yeah, and like I said, they're documentary style videos, so it's not kind of like a dry classroom learning environment
Mm,
that we're asking them to engage in. And depending on the video, they're all right around 25 minutes long.
mhm.
So in less than 30 minutes, a person can be TAT trained.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Individuals, if you're not part of a company, if you're owner operator, you can go right to our website and take the training for free and choose
Wow.
which training you want to take. So we've made it really easy. Um, so yeah, that would be our first way of engaging within the industry. And then past that, we have other ways that we work with companies to get them engaged. It could look like incorporating an anti-human trafficking policy into their HR manual. It could look like conducting a webinar for their internal employees, or if they have a carrier network that they're connected with, we can provide a free webinar. Getting an article, we write articles for people to put in their newsletters. So there's a variety of ways that people can engage, and we really customize the engagement plan to each
Sure,
company and what makes sense for them for their corporate structure and their culture, and we wanna make it accessible and meaningful for them.
sure, sure.
I
Cool.
mean,
Oh, good deal.
you also spread the word at places like truck shows because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
recently saw you, or I saw you at Truck World up here in
yeah,
Canada. So, do you
yeah.
have any other shows coming up?
Well, I'm working on getting some invitations to shows and always looking for associations who will bring us
Mhm.
in and give us the opportunity to present the TAT message. So, yeah, our goal, within Canada, across North America is to build connections, build relationships, look for invitations and places where we can spread awareness about human
Sure.
trafficking. And, so we're always hopeful that not only that industry people will engage, but they'll also make introductions to others
Right.
and get us involved with the respective organizations that they're a part of.
Cool.
Well, and that's a large part, hopefully, of what we're doing today is just
Mhm.
spreading the word that TAT is available. It's free. It's easy to implement. I mean, I know, like John, a number of trucking
Yep.
companies that have just rolled this into their new hire orientation
Yep.
package so that
Yep.
every
Yep.
driver is introduced on day one of being hired by
Mhm.
that company. You know,
Yeah, and we touched on it before we started recording. Was Fleet Safety Council here in Ontario is a big supporter of TAT. And I know we always get the message out, talk about it. I know London chapter. We just had somebody late last year do a presentation for us via webinar, and it was great because all the people there were like, "How do I get this in my company?" And they were small trucking companies and whatnot. And how were they? And it was like great information. Boom. Next thing you know, they're setting something up with a drivers meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, we're so thankful for Fleet Safety Council, well, for all of our organizations that give us
Sure.
that and we love to do free webinars. So,
Mhm.
if there's something that we can do, to provide some awareness, just let me know.
Well,
by all
what are
means.
some of the organizations, and not necessarily in Canada, because as we were talking beforehand, you said PMTC here in Canada has been a great supporter. But throughout North America, what are some of the organizations that if somebody was to say, hey, Heather, I want TAT in my company, who would they be joining?
Well, I guess, I have to mention UPS. They are our
Oh,
driving
cool.
sponsor. They're the
Yep.
ones that have engaged at a level that we hope that all would engage. And as far as corporate sponsorship, they are top tier. And then also looking at companies like Bergen North and Bridgestone, our North Star
Oh,
sponsors.
wow. Cool.
And we have I hate to only mention a few because
Yeah.
we have
Mm.
ton great partners. Day and Ross, they were the ones who sponsored TAT's booth at Truck World, and
Oh,
so we have partners who engage at various levels, and we're just thankful
oh,
for all of them. So
Awesome.
and of course, the TAT website, which we'll have a link to in the show notes down below, has all the
mhm,
sponsors right there.
Mhm.
And you can take a look to see, hey, if I got on board, who am I joining with?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's amazing. How long has TAT been around now? Because it's amazing how many sponsors and
Mhm.
associations and everybody that's backing TAT.
yeah. So in March we hit 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We've been around for a while. We've trained almost 1.8 million individuals, and we entered into Canada in 2019. And so we're looking to see some great growth there as well as the word continues to spread. But Canada's been, I mean, truly doing their part and engaging, and we're so thankful for that.
Cool.
Well, one, I think it's a terrible issue that we even
Yeah.
have to discuss about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, it is real. Happen probably hourly, I would think.
Mhm.
And the focus is always the victim
Yes,
because
exactly.
the women, the boys, the men that are being trafficked, I can't say that, are victim and they're
Yes.
being abused and they're
Yeah.
being
Mm.
coerced
Mm.
and they're not rewarded financially, of course, because
Yeah.
somebody else is taking all that benefit.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
terrible
sad
situation.
reality. Yeah. Over 50 million people are enslaved in the world today, and it's $150 billion per year profit making criminal activity.
Say
And
that again. How many people?
50 million. Uh,
Oof.
yeah. So it's a huge issue and it's happening right underneath our noses. And sometimes we just don't know what to look for. And that's why getting trained is so important. And truck drivers in particular, transportation community in particular, they're out there, they're on the roads, they are trained to be vigilant, and they may actually be at those places. And so it's just really
Sure.
important that folks, take 30 minutes out of their day and become TAT trained.
Mhm.
And again, tell the people how they can become, if their company's not involved, how
Yeah.
can an individual decide to get TAT trained again?
So we would love to engage at the company level. And so if an individual is watching and wants to get involved, take it up the chain and talk to somebody in leadership and say, hey, is this something that we can at least get some information on? And then you contact me. I'm the person who is involved at the industry level and connecting with companies and looking at an engagement path for them. So that's one way. Any individuals can also just go to our website, which is tatnonprofit.org, and they can take the training for free right from the website.
Wow.
Perfect. I think, and of course, Heather, your information, your contact info is in the show notes down below. So if anyone is interested, certainly corporations and trucking companies, reach out to Heather. She'll help assist you and get this all set up. And she set up more than once free.
Free, free.
Yeah.
Like it's magic to anybody's ears. Free.
And it's something that I believe is hugely valuable. So,
Yes. Agreed.
do us all a favor, reach out to Heather. Heather, last word. What we cover all the main topics that you wanted to address today?
Well, I think I would be remiss if I didn't put the Canadian human trafficking hotline number out there for everybody,
Sure.
and we can get that in the show notes as well. But it is 1-833-900-1010. So if you think that you are seeing some signs of human trafficking, go ahead and make the call. They can help you ascertain if you're seeing something. They can also call out law enforcement if they think that that it is suspicious enough to have that happen. If you're seeing a crime in progress, call law enforcement, call 911 first, and get that person some help.
Cool.
And if I remember my T.A.T training, it's been a long time. I should probably redo it. But I'm not asked to intervene. I'm only asked to make the call, which is anonymous if I want them to
Mhm.
remain anonymous.
Mhm.
And hopefully, uh, you know, the right people will intervene in the right way.
Right. Yeah. We do not want folks to intervene or try to go after a trafficker. Uh, we're just asking them to make a simple phone call. Pick up the phone, give the person on the other line, whether it's law enforcement or the human trafficking hotline, the information that you're seeing, and then know that you've done all that you can do, and law enforcement will take it from there. So,
Let the pros take over is what it is. And that phone number is in the show notes down below. And of course, it will be on your screen once again if you're watching that. Head from Truckers Against Trafficking. Did I say that right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Because I always forget what
Don't say traffic it.
I have a terrible time with, I don't know, some word, double authentication, where I said it. I can't say that word either. There's certain words, and trafficked is one that I trip over as well. It may be funny, but the actual situation for the human that's involved is far from humorous.
Exactly. Agreed.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it, and
Yes.
glad to spread the word about T.A.T.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Brother.
Thanks for
Appreciate
your
it.
time, John. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Heather, for coming on the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast. We appreciate your time very much. For all of the listeners and viewers, leave us a comment. What do you think? Is it something that you can take action on? Has your company already incorporated it, or is it something that you need help? Reach out to Heather. She will give you a hand. Thanks all. We'll see you next week.